I've often been asked, from someone who is contemplating marrying, whether they should get a prenuptial agreement or not. And generally speaking, prenuptial agreements are very, very good tools to clearly define and outline what the obligations of the parties will be after they marry, how property will be divided, how assets will be held and titled, who will be responsible to pay for what things of the marriage. One thing that people misconstrue often about prenuptial agreements is that prenuptial agreements don't just protect the assets that you have before you get married, they also protect assets that you acquire after you get married. Generally speaking, prenuptial agreements do not allow the parties to create community property. Community property means assets acquired after you say I do. Generally speaking, prenuptial agreements reserve the ability for people to acquire assets in their own name and not have to divide them after they marry, or once they marry, you can acquire assets that your spouse will not be entitled to receive any of. It also allows you to do whatever you choose with your own property and money. You don't have to seek permission from your spouse if you want to buy something or sell something, if you want to invest in a business. Without a prenuptial agreement, Nevada law provides certain rights to spouses. A prenuptial agreement basically nullifies those rights, and each of you are able to do whatever you want with your own money and assets, whether you had them before marriage or whether you acquire them after you marry. Postnuptial agreements can be beneficial if the parties were pressed for time and could not create or prepare a prenuptial agreement before they married. Postnuptial agreements function like prenuptial agreements. It's a contract that you make after you marry for how your property will be held, divided, etc. upon divorce. Postnuptial agreements provide clear guidance and guidelines for parties so that there's no question about who owns what and who can control what after they marry. Prenuptial agreements, if they are prepared correctly and in compliance with the Uniform Prenuptial Agreements Act of Nevada, are binding. The Uniform Prenuptial Agreements Act is found in Chapter 123A of the Nevada Revised Statutes. To have a valid binding prenuptial agreement, the agreement must be in writing. It must make full and fair disclosure of all of your assets and debts. It must be entered into free of coercion or duress, and it must not be unconscionable under the circumstances. If your premarital agreement is, again, in compliance with Chapter 123A of the Nevada Revised Statutes or the Uniform Prenuptial Agreements Act, it will be binding and enforceable upon the parties. If a party or parties are contemplating entering into a prenuptial agreement, they must make sure that they disclose all of their assets and debts. The statute requires that they make full and fair disclosure of all of their assets and debts. Thus, if you are, have a sizable amount of debt and you don't want the other party to know about your debt because you're afraid they may think ill of you or they may not want to marry you, that can be grounds in Nevada to set aside or nullify a premarital agreement. Again, the way I liken this to the people that consult with me and that hire me to draft prenuptial agreements, if you're going to buy a car, you are going to walk around that vehicle to make sure there's no dents or dings or scratches. You're going to kick the tires. You're going to take it to a mechanic to make sure that the engine is in proper working order, that the other parts of the car are in proper working order. You're going to drive it to make sure that there's no knocks or pings or sounds in that vehicle. Thus, if you're going to buy a vehicle, you're going to make sure that it is a sound vehicle and a good purchase. The same is true of a prenuptial agreement. The party that you're entering into a marriage relationship with must know about all of your assets and debts. They have to know or be able to walk around the car, as it were. Again, if you fail to disclose all of your assets and debts, that can be a basis to nullify or set aside a premarital agreement. You cannot hide or shield assets from the person that you're entering into a marital relationship with.